covering news where you live. This is 5 News at 5:30.
After a rain delay, softball action is underway at Bogle Park. The Razorbacks are in a must-win game against SEC rival Ole Miss. We're going to check in with 5 News Sports' anchor Robin Hearn for just an update in a bit. First, we start with the rainy weather we've had this Memorial Day weekend. Joshua Weisel starts our coverage with a look at the latest conditions. What's up?
Yeah, we've got rain across the area, and this is an incredibly tricky forecast, even though, it may not seem like that. I'm going to show y'all what we've been dealing with today across the area because it is a busy weekend. We've got all sorts of plans. Starting off, you can see we've got the clouds across the area of River Valley, seeing a little bit more in terms of the rain and storms this afternoon and this evening. But as we make our way into the radar, I want you to kind of just take a photo of this in your mind for a second of where this rain activity is developed, this activity that you see here. The tricky part about the forecast is we've gotten so many messages asking, what about the plans this evening for this and that? Well, it's kind of hard because the models are not helping us today. Here's 5:30, and then let's take a look at what some of these models were showing at 5:30. It's not at all correct. These are not at all picking up on the activity that we've had so far today. So it's a little bit tricky to say, yeah, we think it's going to do this. The truth of the matter is we're going to have rain chances as we head into this evening. But look at this model, 5:30, not even picking up any of the activity. So the models aren't helpful. This is when we kind of have to get a little bit nitty gritty in terms of the forecast. So rain chances are going to continue for the next several hours. There's even a chance for some strong to severe storms, especially in the River Valley. We're going to be watching that around the clock. But I think the main concern we're going to be dealing with the next several hours is going to be, of course, the flash flooding potential. We'll have more details on this coming up in just minutes.
5 News coverage of the Razorbacks is sponsored by...
The Razorbacks are in action right now at Bogle Park. I hear things are tied up. It's Game 3 of softball super regionals against Ole Miss. Things are knotted up to four runs each, and 5 News Sports anchor Robin Hearn is at Bogle Park for tonight's game. She joins us now with an update on how Courtney Deifel and the Razorbacks are doing in this must-win game. Hey, Robin.
Yeah, Lauren, like you said, it's knotted up here. They just finished up the top of the third. Another 1-2-3 inning for Robin Hearn. It's a win or go home situation for Arkansas softball as they take on Ole Miss in the third game of the Fayetteville Super Regional, trying to get to Oklahoma City. Peyton Burnham actually got the start today. She went 1 inning and she gave up 4 runs as Ole Miss came out swinging in the top of the first, but she did record all 3 outs with punch-outs, and Arkansas would answer back with a bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the inning. But Robin Hearn coming in relief in the second for Burnham. She had a 1-2-3 inning and recorded her first punch-out of the day. So far, Arkansas has had some traffic on the bases, whether it be walks or a single from Kennedy Miller. And then in the bottom of the second on 2 outs, Courtney Day and Kaylee Wyckoff would help the Hogs tie this one in the bottom of the second. So as you can hear, going to the bottom of the third now, see what the Hogs are able to do. We'll have a recap and highlights and hear from Coach Deifel and the team following this game to see if they're getting to Oklahoma City. Also, we're going to find out if Arkansas baseball is hosting a regional. That will be announced later on this evening. Lauren, I got to get back inside. Got a lot more game to watch.
All right, thanks, Robin. You can follow all our coverage of the Razorbacks' quest for a national championship with the free 5 News app. This weekend, the Senate is beginning the debate on President Trump's budget plan. It's already cleared the House, and now some members of the president's own party are raising concerns. Christian Benavidez has more on what still needs to happen for the budget to make it to the president's desk.
On this Memorial Day weekend, which doubles as a congressional recess, a number of Republican lawmakers are breaking rank with President Trump as they speak out against his budget bill. The bill was passed by the House by a razor-thin margin on Thursday. Now as it heads to the Senate, many Republicans, including Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, are questioning the bill's contents.
I think the cuts currently in the bill are wimpy and anemic. The problem is the math doesn't add up. They're going to explode the debt.
Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson says the cuts don't go far enough and that the bill will add to the nation's deficit.
You're saying you have these independent analysts saying it's 3.3 to 4 trillion. I agree with that. We have to reduce the deficit, and so we need to focus on spending. So what you don't defeat the deep state by funding it.
Also critical of the bill, House Democrats who argue the legislation will hurt a large swath of the American population because of its cuts to food stamps and changes to Medicare.
This is one big, ugly bill.
House Speaker Mike Johnson defended the bill on Face the Nation.
What this bill is going to do is be jet fuel to the U.S. economy. It's going to foster a pro-growth economy.
The bill, as it stands now, includes funding for border security, deportations, and defense, along with spending cuts to entitlement programs. $267 billion will be cut from SNAP, the program that supports food stamps. Proposed changes to Medicaid include new work requirements set to take effect by the end of next year. The bill extends the 2017 tax cuts while also fulfilling a Trump campaign promise of no taxes on overtime or tips. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
Members of the Trump administration are in Israel just days after the killing of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited the Western Wall today. She's also expected to meet with Israeli leaders to discuss the case against the suspect, who police identified as a 30-year-old man from Chicago. Well, school's almost out in Lincoln, but Superintendent Mary Ann Spears isn't slowing down. She's just been elected to the Siloam Springs School Board. Spears ran unopposed for the Zone 5 school board seat in Siloam Springs. She says she's lived in the city now for around 4 years. Spears plans to retire from Lincoln at the end of next school year, which means she will hold both positions at the same time for 1 year. She says balancing the 2 roles may be busy, but she's excited for the challenge.
Being on this side, I've been a teacher, I've been a building administrator, now a district administrator. I hope I can bring some positive things to the table, but I'm not going over there with an agenda that I want to change anything or, I'll just sit back and learn for a little bit.
During her tenure, Spears led a shift to a 4-day school week, a decision she says strengthened the budget, reduced teacher turnover, and boosted attendance. Looking ahead, the Fayetteville National Cemetery will host a remembrance ceremony tomorrow. The Memorial Day event will get underway at 10 o'clock. Other national cemeteries in Arkansas have also been holding ceremonies this week. Fort Smith National Cemetery hosted one earlier today, and Little Rock's hosted theirs over the weekend.